Good afternoon. We are back with legal nuggets. The question that was asked is whether can one return a cell phone that they bought where they feel that they no longer want it, or it's not giving the spec that they assumed it had when they initially bought it. Before we jump into the answer there, may I put a disclaimer? What we are discussing today is not extensive legal advice. Should you need legal assistance, speak to an attorney such as CTA with their details above. Let's jump into it. Have you bought or purchased any item such as a cell phone and you feel that you don't want it anymore and you're wondering whether you can return it to the store or whether you have a right to return it and get your refund? The answer is it depends. It depends on two issues. It depends on where you made your purchase. It also depends on how was the product marketed to you. This issue is dealt with under the Consumer Protection Act and specifically under the Telecommunications Act, which deals with the service provision of electronics such as cell phones and telecommunication related resources. As I mentioned, it depends. If you bought the cell phone at a store, you are really bound by the contract and you will not easily be able to return it unless the policies of the store, that particular store, are quite lenient. However, the CPA allows for what is known as cooling off period if your purchase was done online or telephonically marketed to yourselves through a telephone call and a full payment done there under what is known as direct marketing. The CPA allows you to return a product, specifically a cell phone, during the cooling off period, which is 7 working days from receipt of these goods when they are delivered to your house or to yourselves, to your person. Under the CPA, if these goods are delivered under the Telephone Communications Act, that is 7 days. If they are delivered to you within 5 days, you need to make an application or a request to reject them under the CPA. How do you do this? You literally just take the whole packaging of your cell phone, you approach the store or the head office of the service provider and inform them that I want to exercise my cooling off period, which was within the 7 days period of my purchase. You must ensure that the product was not used, the product is still original, the product is sealed, and the product is does not have any breakage or tear. In the case of a cell phone, you must make sure that you didn't put any specific network SIM card in that device. You did not make it. You did not activate the device itself, and you're not returning it due to a defect, which we will discuss a bit later in this instance. As I mentioned earlier, that this cooling off period is not allowed if the purchase was made in store, and the principle is that you had an opportunity in store to inspect fully and to have an understanding of what you are purchasing. So may I just advise there that when you are making an in-store purchase, be sure that you tick and you ask all the relevant questions in respect to the spec of this product that you are buying, so that when you get home with the product, you don't now discover that it is not what you were looking for, because cooling off will not really be allowed in that instance. Well, some stores have a very lenient, as I mentioned, policy with respect to returns in that instance. So try your luck. However, if you have now opened this device, you have started trying to use it and you realize, this device looks defective, could be software issues, but it cannot be wear and tear. It cannot be accidental damage, like you couldn't have thrown or dropped the phone. You couldn't have had your phone fall into the water, so such claims will generally be rejected. But if it's software related, it's usually covered under your warranty. Firstly, you have 14 days from the day of purchase in which you can return the cell phone and get either an exchange or a refund. You may make a claim there within 14 days under the OBF. You may incur the OBF inspection costs, the cost that you will incur. The CPA also allows for a 6 months warranty specifically for electronics. In terms of the Consumer Protection Act, you as a consumer, you have a right to approach your service provider where you bought electronics and ask that they either repair or replace or refund. May I state that the issue of repairing, replacing and refunding is a sole prerogative of the service provider. So you can't elect for yourself that you no longer want this device, therefore you want a refund. No, that's not how it works. It'll be the service provider informing you of the options that they have and what they are seemingly or seeing as a best option. In this regard, they would have taken your device, they would have submitted it for repair. If they are failing, they will try and replace your device. If they don't have the similar device, they will then give you a refund. If you are not winning all three, that's where you approach your attorneys for assistance. I hope this helps. May I just add also that you will need to take with you the proof of purchase and the full packaging. I repeat, this is why people keep the boxes in their shelves for these devices. For as long as you are still within contract and